guest host that's going to be here today. Her name is Susan Dietrich. Say hi, Susan.
Hey.
So, I want to ask you a couple questions about dance.
Cool.
How you got into dance, what motivates you to dance, just everything about dance. We have a lot of people that are in, especially the genre of dance that you are partaking of. Let's see, you do crump, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so how old were you when you started dancing?
I would say unofficially about 9 years old, and then officially 17, and by that I mean like taking actual studio lessons. When I was about 9, I started learning just basically, I guess, freestyle from, MTV, learning choreography off of YouTube. And from that, I just started to be like, oh, I kind of like this, it's pretty cool, it's fun. And then when I was about 17, I had attended my first demo class at a studio. And it was from Manuel Lucky Harvey. He was brand new to the studio as a teacher, so he was doing just a free demo class. You could come and try it out. I went, I tried it out, and he talked to me a few minutes later after the class saying, advanced. And that's all he said. And I was like, what does that mean? Okay, what? And so that was my first time when I realized I was going into the advanced class, not ever having a single lesson prior to that, and immediately I just got bumped up to the highest level possible, at least for the hip-hop section. And so I think it was at that point I finally realized, oh, maybe I could actually, go somewhere with this and do something with it, especially, with training.
Yeah.
I could clean things up, make things sharper, that whole deal.
I think a lot of misconceptions about dancers is that you have to be technically trained from the age of 3, which you really don't have to be. This day and age, we have YouTube versus when I was younger and we didn't have YouTube. All we did have was like MTV. Really wasn't even a BET out at that particular time. So the kids nowadays, this is why I wanted to do the podcast, was to inform other kids, other adults on how to either get into the industry or how to become a dancer and take those technical classes that you're going to need for those opportunities, auditions, whether you just want to do it recreational, whether you want to do it if your parents are going to just throw you in it. A lot of parents come to me and ask me, what type of classes does my child need to take? Second question, now that you're dancing, and you've been dancing, I don't know how many years because you look really young, so I don't really know how old you are, and it's not nice to ask a woman her age.
No, it's all right. I'll be young for a bit because I always get told, like, oh, aren't you like 18, 19? I was like, I'm 24, but that works.
Right.
Fine with that.
But in a dancer's life, too, the age is a little differently. You're limited on time when it comes to professional dancing.
For sure.
People who are in the industry and dance for professionals have a short window of time to get into whatever they want to get into. Our kids nowadays don't have a lot of outlets to go to regular classes,
Especially
in the inner city.
Yeah, in the Midwest almost in general.
Yes, being from California, there is a lot, but out here I see that there's not really that much to do that. So in your career, what do you want to do with your career?
I mean, originally I was doing it recreationally, and I was pretty happy with just that. But, as the more I got to looking into it, the more I realized, oh, it can be a career. And so I wanted to be a backup dancer. I wanted to be like CJ Salvador and own 2 houses, one for me, one for my parents, just
Right.
going on 2 shows with J-Lo. 2 shows, paid for 2 freaking houses. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah,
this would be great.
And in that type of dance, and when you're doing dance, unfortunately, dancers struggle. A lot of dancers really do struggle in their everyday lives because it's not a lot of pay, but they don't do it for the pay. They do it for their love of dance. So I know that you do crump. Crump is your big style of dance. What other styles do you do?
My main style that I do, in terms of freestyle, like whenever the music hits, the immediate style I go to is dance hall, which I guess it's been mainstream in a way because it's mainly just a series of grooves. It has a lot of influence from Latin culture, like salsas and rumbas and all that stuff. But they also have a lot of influence from house, which is another big hip hop like street style. It kind of combines everything together, and it's just really easy to groove to any beat with that certain dance style.
Yes.
And I guess no matter what style you have in terms of street styles, you can ride whatever beat you want if you're good at it.
Yeah.
It might look a little interesting to other people if you're crump into Taylor Swift, but you can do it, I guess, if you want. But yeah, so usually I'll start off with dancehall, but I always throw in crump just to kind of switch it up a little bit, especially when those beats hit real hard. And it's a good way to get that extra energy out and have some extra fun. Dancehall, you can be sharp with it, but since it is more groovy, it's good to have that other style of training so I can be sharp. I can be hardcore if I want to go for it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, we are live right now, and I have a segment where we're going to have our live viewers ask questions on what they want to know in terms of getting into dance, or if they have a child who is wanting to do dance, that type of thing.
Perfect.
Yeah, so if you guys are on Facebook, Instagram, you guys can go ahead and ask some questions to Susan and pick her brain. I know crump is not a style that it's known, but it's not a lot of people out there who are actually teaching classes on crump, especially out here in the Midwest.
It's getting there. I've noticed a lot in different choreography that's been popping up recently. A lot more people are using crump as a style to put into their urban choreography styles, which is really cool because before I never would have expected to see that at all. Crump was definitely a small category of street style that I think blew up, I would say, within the last 5 years or so. I know my friend Tyrell, he's been teaching more and more crump classes. He's actually been going around the nation too, trying to, spread the word and all that.
Yes.
A lot of the starters from Street Kingdom, the original crump crew.
Yes. They were based out of where?
Well, I guess they kind of all came together more so in kind of like the ocean. Well, most of them live in like the Oceanside area right now in California.
Okay.
But a majority of them are in the California area, but they've gone worldwide.
Yes.
Japan, they have fam out in Japan now under their name.
See, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Eventually, that's what I want to do out here in the Midwest is open a lot more studios for the inner city and have those type of classes available to kids. I mean, I also want b-boy. I think b-boy is another style that gets overlooked a lot. And, just in the hip hop genre, b-boy is like almost one of the hardest form of dances you can learn because you have to have all that upper body strength and lower leg strength.
A lot of training.
A lot of training. And that's what a lot of people fail to realize when you are going through classes. It's going to take a lot. And it's not, these competitions nowadays, I have a couple of friends right now that are actually competing today in St. Louis. And so, it's very,
it's intense. I mean,
just the competition just on TV is intense, So I hear that you are going to be taking a little trip.
I am. I'm actually going to South Korea soon for 2 weeks, and I kind of have to stay some low-key on some other details in respect to the studio. But
of course.
Yeah, one of the studios out there, it hasn't been built yet, but... Boop, boop. Anyways.
I know, right?
Quite yet. But they're looking to bring in some of the American street culture to Korea, not just the mainstream stuff that you see on, YouTube every day, Chris Brown and all that. Still respect to him, but it's still urban choreography that's getting the mainstream look at right now, which is good. but it's also good to know your basics.
But dance is everywhere. You see it on commercials now, from Old Navy, from to butter commercials. Like, you see dance everywhere. So it's kind of hard when you're, a teacher, and you want to start them out with those foundations, but also invite them to come and see, the other genres that are out there. I'm a technical dancer. I like jazz, ballet. Hip hop is one of my other favorites. Cheer is one of our newest programs. Those things, even in cheer is not looked at as dance. It's looked at as a sport, and it's not, because they still dance. They still have that, that have to learn that other foundation to even begin to do what they do. Dance it's overlooked at a lot of places. So also, going to another country, you will see, I've been there, you'll see, or even different states, you'll see the type of people you will be in contact with and what their worth ethic is like compared to America, compared to mainstream. You will see how hard they train, because they have to make it in the industry. The industry is hard to get into, very hard.
Oh yeah, it's a pain in the butt for really anybody, but especially if you don't have those outlets to go to in terms of companies like talent agencies, that kind of thing. Midwest doesn't really have that at all. You got to go to one coast or the other and pray to God that you make it there. And so it's always a big struggle for dancers in general, just to make it into the smallest little music video of an underground artist.
Yes.
Because even they're really picky about stuff too. So.
And that's another reason why I'm doing this podcast, is to give information to other people on how to either get their kids or how to get themselves into that type of world, because it is a different world. It is a different place to be when it comes to just dancing. If you don't have an agent, that doesn't mean, or if you're from here, that doesn't mean that you can't make it out in California or Florida or, any other state. You know what I mean? You just have to have that drive and that will, and be determined to get out there and do all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, you got to kick yourself in the butt for sure.
Yes. That was my phone. I don't know how to turn it off, but I don't know what that was, but yes, I mean.
Yeah, there's been a couple people from Kansas City that have gotten signed to, I think it was Clear Talent Agency out in LA. It's just also still hard without living there, though. Even if you do get signed and you're in the Midwest, it's you still sometimes have to pay for your plane flights to get to these shows, to these auditions that they can sign you up for, and that there's extra money on top of that you got to work for. And a lot of the times, because dance gets not exactly a paid representation, it's really difficult to both dance and make money dancing. So usually you have to have
a regular job,
2-3 other jobs that you're working at to try and get yourself money to pay for the classes or for the auditions, for the plane flights. Oh yeah, and those auditions are really hard. Sometimes they call you back 2 or 3 times before you even get in the door. If you don't have an agent, I was lucky I had an agent. But sometimes my agent would mess up and say, okay, they would send me to an audition that particular artist was 6 foot. I'm only 5'2". They're not going to hire me. So I just wasted my money going to that particular audition and not getting that audition, So, you have to read between the lines when they are holding those auditions and, stuff like that. Yeah, and there will be, things where I know a lot of people get kind of offended or whatnot when the artist is like, oh, well, you need to be Hispanic and blonde. Oh, and your body type has to be this way. Oh, and you can't look like this or have this. And they're very specific about looks. And while, yes, that kind of sucks that it's like that, it is how it is, though, and you have to be prepared for that. A lot of these dancers sometimes get there and then they flip out there in tears because their waistline was 2 inches too big or something, and it's like, don't worry, because the next artist is probably looking for somebody who has a waistline 2 inches bigger. It'll be okay. It's just that person's specific aesthetic for the video. It means nothing to you personally. Yeah, it's just how it is, though. And that's another thing that's hard. When we were having a Q&A with one of the choreographers that came to teach, at one of our workshops, she said she had come in to an audition with her natural brunette hair. She looks around, she sees all these people with beach blonde hair. She's like,
what am I doing here?
Well, crap. She's like, well, I'll try it out anyway. And they're like, we like you, but you don't have blonde hair. She goes, okay, give me a second. So she comes back with beach blonde hair. She went literally next door to the salon, made a really expensive last minute appointment, bleached her whole hair, went back in, and they're like, sorry, we actually already found somebody else.
Oh, see, that would
So she
hurt.
just spent like $80 bleaching out her hair for nothing. And then the next audition she got sent to, guess what hair color they wanted? Brunette. So
You had to do
go
it
back again.
See, that's just too much for
And
me.
so it's just one of those things where it's like, you got to just be like, okay, sure, whatever, and just ride with it, because I mean, it will get really frustrating really fast if you let it get to you. And even now, like, I haven't necessarily gone in the places I wanted to for dance. There's a lot of opportunities I missed out on.
I think that's everybody,
But
though.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, then again, you know, I wouldn't be where I am right now, and I am happy in my life right now. So, like, I did have that chance to go out into California and train with some of, you know, the big names and all that, because they were interested in training me, but I just didn't have the financial stability whatsoever at the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, unfortunately, I just can't, like, I can't make it. And man, that sucked so much, being like, oh, I could have trained under, you know, the Street Kingdom members. Like, holy crap, that'd have been amazing.
Right.
But yeah, it just wasn't meant to be, and that's okay too. With that not happening, I've gotten another opportunity in
See, and I
Korea.
think-
Hopefully, we'll see how it
Right.
goes. But once again, if I don't get it, then that's okay too.
Yeah.
I've still been working my butt off, and for that, I'm still proud of myself for that.
Yeah, and what would you tell another person or another child? I don't even want to say child. I want to say another dancer. What should they do in terms of trying, if they wanted to do this as a professional, especially in krump? Because krump is, to me, is a lot of isolations, a lot of leg work, and
It's a lot of muscle control.
Yes.
Similar to popping, which mad respect for poppers, because
I have
there's
a really close friend that's a pop blocker and is, I think, older than I am, and has
he
been
pops and locks.
Yes.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yes, and I've known him for many years, and he's worked with artists, Snoop Dogg, you know, a whole bunch of artists, and for him, you know, it's his life. I mean, he has his trucks, his cars wrapped in his pop lock group. You know what I mean? That's his brand, but that's another genre of dance that really don't get the credibility as, you know, krump does as well.
Locking definitely had like I don't want to say a season, but of like mainstream popularity anyways. It seemed to like
Pop
come
locking
and then
has been around forever, like
popping is
since
almost always
Ice-T.
there.
Like, you know, that's the same thing with breakdancing. Ice-T, when they were doing Electric Boogaloo and all that other stuff, that was before, you know, any of the kids out here listening, before their time. You know, dance has been around for a long, long time. I mean, Michael Jackson was one of the biggest dancers, you know.
And a lot of inspiration comes from him for sure. James Brown as well. And also, of course, when they first started the break in the music as a DJ, that's what gave way to breakdancing.
Yeah.
And so music has always been so closely tied in with dance, because dance is essentially you're just bringing whatever the song is to visualization. And with hip hop, I feel like because of, I guess, the poetic, you know, rap styles and all of that, you can fit a whole heck of a lot of words into like 30 seconds. You can fit a whole lot of moves into 30 seconds.
Yes.
And that's where those like, oh my God moments come, when people do dance covers to like Rap God by Eminem. You're just sitting there like, what the heck is happening? I can't even see it. It's so fast. But,
Yes, and you do when you get these fast-paced songs.
and that's what's hard, but like it depends on the dancer too. Like if you find those fast songs are easier for you to like groove to, try to stick to that, and it'll train your muscles even faster. I went to a wildebeest workshop out in LA. Highly recommend doing those, like, Millennium Studio dance workshops and classes. They're like $15 and you can train with wildebeest, and I'm just
Sasha
basically everybody.
trains there.
Yeah, Ian Eastwood, anybody that you can think of that you've seen on YouTube or TV as an extreme choreographer, you can basically train with them for just $15. I mean, that's, yes, you do have to pay the plane ticket to get out there, but it's worth it.
It's worth
so worth
it.
it.
I mean, people go and take classes and don't realize that at the end of the day, you know, the price shouldn't matter if it's really what you want to do. If that's what you, if you really want to do that as a passion, if that's what you want to do for the rest of your life. I mean, I've been dancing forever. I've been teaching forever. I mean, some of my kids now that are older are now on to bigger and better things, that are on tour with different artists, and, you know, that have come from my studios in California. And, you know, but now that I've done it here, you know, I want to bring that to the inner city and to kids who really can't afford dance. I apologize. I don't know who keeps calling my phone. If my mom is watching real quick, she can give a shout out to my son and tell him that I will call him later. Mom, if you're still on, call Ruben for me, please. My son was actually one of my dancers at one time when he was in high school. He is now 27 years old. Decided he didn't want to dance no more. He wanted to play baseball. But, you know, he danced from junior high school to high school, and was just recently in a car accident. So, you know, things like that happen. You know, you just have to kind of be thankful for what you do. You know, and he told me at one point, he said, I wanna dance again. I wanna, you know, do things I can't do anymore. You know, but at the same time, it's like you have to cherish what you have now, because at any point anything can happen. And that's what I always tell my kids when they're taking my classes. You guys have to pay attention and learn, and if you don't want to be here, you know, there's another child who does really want to take this class.
Yeah, and there's definitely no shame in being like, hey, this isn't for me, and just kind of letting it go. You can always come back to it later. Like, the teachers will still be there. Like, it's okay, and they'll welcome you in. If you need to leave, that's okay, because they'd rather give their time and attention, like you said, to somebody who really, really desires it. And I guess that's a thing I'd like to say to the parents. Please don't force your kids into dance. If they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. Yeah. It's a pain.
I see that a lot. I see, and being that I'm a teacher, I own my own studio, I see that a lot. I see parents bring in their kids because they still want to dance. And they'll tell me, like, hey, I used to be a dancer too, but I want my kid to do it, but their kid really doesn't want to be there. And it's, you know, and I always, you know, try to encourage people, like, if you want to take the class, it's not about the money to me. It is more about the education that they will be getting with me. Yeah. And so if they don't want to be there, please don't force her to do it, because she's not going to want to do it, and she's not going to pay attention.
And she's going to make it hate dance even more, honestly. Yes. And that's not what we want.
I think at every point since I've been dancing, I used to really, at one point, dislike it. And that was just because I was at that age where I was like, I don't want to do this no more.
Try other things.
I wanted to try other things, but I didn't. I stuck it out, and I've been doing it for a long time. So, I don't know how we can see the Facebook questions. Are you on live?
Yeah, I'm not getting any questions right now.
All right. Okay. That's okay.
Yeah, and mine kept going off, so it was like, you know, I don't know what happened there. But for me, my next question for you is, in dance, what do you want to accomplish for your career?
Honestly, I feel like not the whole, like, I already made it kind of thing, but I kind of did set myself with some low expectations, like getting a music video. To me, that was like the ultimate thing, because that's what I always dreamed of, was just having my face pop up every once in a while on something on YouTube. I was like, that's so cool.
But you are on YouTube, because I've Googled you, so.
I actually got the opportunity to work with Chris Calico and Tech9. He did his song Talk Up on it. And that was so much fun. They, you know, shut down Union Station, and we filmed the video in there. And, oh, man, that was such a cool opportunity. for the most part, I just sprinted back and forth a lot for like the B-roll kind of stuff.
Right.
But no, they were so amazing to work with. They were very polite, very professional. A couple tall girls were in front of me during the dance scene, so
It's kind of bad when you're short. You're like, can you move a little bit to your left there?
Yeah, but it's all right. I was like, it was still fun experience no matter what. We also worked with Royce Sauce. He's a Christian rapper in the Kansas City area. We worked with him a while ago as I Push, the community, the dance company that is here in Kansas City. We worked with him on the song Go. Highly recommend checking it out. It's really, really good.
I will do that. And I always look for new music when I'm, in that mode of choreographing, and especially my next piece. I just, it just depends on your mood when you're a choreographer and when you're trying to do new stuff. But I'm going to check that out because I would love to use songs from artists out here in Kansas City. And if you guys are in Kansas City and you guys have any songs and local artists, as long as they're kid friendly, you're more than welcome to shoot them to my email address or, go on my Facebook. We would love to do that. The kids love to, perform to about anything, but it just has to be kid friendly. Because we got to stay within that.
Yeah. That's, I guess, another thing, too. When you go out to classes, usually in KC, I've noticed, usually the choreographers here, like EJ Stacks, another member of I Push, he's the choreographer for Strange Music, actually, majority.
I've actually heard a lot about him, and I think it's more from my family. My boyfriend's cousin, she told me about him, and I've looked up a little bit.
He's really dope.
And, but we are going to wrap this up. Our time is about up, and I thank you for being on this podcast. Yeah. And also, for those who do want to come out, Extreme Explosion Dance KC is now open. We do enrollments. Also want to thank KUAW for letting us have this podcast because it's going to inform a lot of people to come out and dance and do community. Their kids, put them in different type of, even if it's not dance, baseball, something in the community that, we can get the kids off the streets and out of trouble.
Yeah.
It always helps. But I thank you again for coming, and we will see you next Saturday, same time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.